Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. On the phone now to talk some hoops with us, a good man, my good friend, the funny, the talented, the all-around entrepreneur, John Salley. John, what's up, buddy?
What up, Artie?
How you doing, man?
Say what's up to the crew for me, man.
I will. Listen, let's get right to this. Derrick Rose. My boy Dan Filato here was in Chicago over the weekend. He has taken a lot of heat.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
None of that kind.
I mean, is that? Do you think it's well due, or are they overreacting?
They overreacted. Because, see, this is the deal. And I'm going to say this, and I love that I don't no longer have to say. Let me tell you how messed up the audience is. And then you get guys that goes, man, I was a fan of his, and that guy walked by me like I wasn't even standing there.
Right,
You know why?
Right.
Because you really don't care about the athlete. You only care. Check this out. They don't care that the he has a career-ending injury that supposedly he can't come back from. But then you got a doctor in Chicago saying, oh, yeah, you can play.
Right.
Same guy in Chicago. No, you can't. He said, you know what? My leg's not ready. It's supposed to be a whole year before this knee can get back. I'm the rookie of the year. This game is not built for what happens to your ankles. And I said, to your knees, ankles, hips, and back. But they don't care because it's that gladiator mentality. Get your butt out there and perform for me. I don't care that you have a life.
Right.
That has nothing to do with anything. I'm glad, Derrick. I told Dwight Howard, you should be out the whole year. Nah, man, the doctor said I'm going to be. I said, dude, with the injury you have, you should be out the whole year. What is Dwight Howard wish he would have done?
It's true.
What was
the whole year? Don't listen to the audience. All they do is buy tickets.
Hey, John, what is the extent? What's the extent of this knee injury? I mean, we're hearing ACL. Was there more to it than that?
No, that's all you really need to have. If a human who hadn't had this situation would have tore his ACL, he would walk with a crooked leg the rest of his life. I don't care how many weights they put on it, what they put together, how they fixed it. That's not going to make him feel any better or make him feel that he can do what he can do. You know what? He takes a year off. How long did Michael Jordan take out when he broke his ankle?
Well, he took
a year off. No one said anything.
He took 2.5 years off to play baseball.
Half a year.
People look the other way.
He took They're going to say what they're going to say. He's going to take heat because people are like, well, all we really care about is if you win. We don't care about you as a human. I don't care as a human. I just want to win, and I want to say my team won. That's the dumbest thing in the world. So, Derrick Rose, if you're listening, because everyone listens to the Artie Lange Show, don't listen to the media. Why listen to them in the first place? I never watched sports channels when I would play. You're only talking about things I've already done, and it's all yesterday's news.
Well, listen, if I were you, I think I'd have that mentality, too. I think you have to stay sane. If you really listen to critics and stuff like that, I mean, it's true of anybody in the public eye, you'll go nuts, but, you say they buy tickets. They do. They buy tickets. They spend money. They want them out there. I think, look, let them rest up, and he'll be back 100% next year, and you got a new season. I think the problem with Derrick Rose, he's got the same problem Patrick Ewing had, and Akeem had, and a bunch of other people, is that they ran into Michael Jordan in the 90s. Akeem had to wait for him to play baseball to get a couple of rings, and now they got LeBron. You got LeBron, and what's going to stop LeBron James from rattling off 5 championships in a row right now? I mean,
it shouldn't. He should get 7. The kid may turn out to be the best player we've seen in this lifetime.
Right.
And he may be. But another thing what I'm gonna say about the audience, and I care. But an important point that you just put, I watch ESPN show guys who got hurt and came out and played.
Right.
As if that made a difference. If Derrick Rose steps on the court and guy goes around him, and a guy goes around him, and another guy goes around him, and he misses 5 shots, they're going to say, you know what, he was rusty. It's gonna be like,
Exactly.
what?
No, of course they're going to. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The
He's
media.
in a no-win situation. He hasn't played all season. You want to put this guy in against the Miami Heat, the number one team in the country, in the world? You really want him to go, and that's where you want him to blow his knee out and end his career at 22 years old? I tell him where to kiss. I just won't on your channel. And they should get out of it. One, he won't even be in the flow. He hasn't been in the flow with these guys for a year. Everyone thinks it's like a record. Well, here, hand the guy a guitar and give him the notes. Hey, can you play these notes? Hey, yeah, he can be in the band. That's not this, bro. Yeah. This is the Grateful Dead. They had a certain rhythm,
Right.
a certain rhythm, and that rhythm was in harmony. Is why they sell so many records still to this day. They had a rhythm. You can't break that rhythm.
Yeah. John,
has Nate Robinson doing it? Let him do it.
Hasn't he been practicing, though? I mean, is he practicing just by himself, or is he practicing with the team?
Once again, I'm going to put it into a situation that everybody would understand. When you have a guy that you can practice all day, you can sit around and shoot the ball in the basket. Mm-hmm. But when the game starts, that rush of adrenaline, that nervous energy, and the fact that you have a guy that you haven't been practicing against that's trying to tear your knee up is coming at you. You're one of those guys. You're in practice and you put the red sweater on the quarterback. That's not good for the quarterback. That's not good for what you plan on doing. This guy, it takes over games. Can't really do that on one leg. Look how long Bernard King was out when he blew his knee out.
Yeah.
He came back the next year with a brand new knee with old technology and scored 50 points. Let him have his year. If the Chicago Bulls weren't in the playoffs, look how far they've gotten without Derrick Rose.
Right.
You don't need him this year.
Well, I think that's
People need to be smart.
That's the point. I mean, I think everybody could take going back to the LeBron thing. Has this team lived up to all the expectations when that press conference happened? In other words, do you think this is the best team you've ever seen?
No. I think the Chicago Bulls in 1996 was the best team I've ever seen.
Right. Well, that's a good argument.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To win 72 games, and it was a trip. We lost 2 games we shouldn't have lost. One to Toronto and one to Miami, I think it was.
Right.
Orlando. We shouldn't have lost. So it really should have been
74 and 73 and 8. 73 and 8. Man.
Yeah. It should. That's what it should have been.
Yeah, that's a good year.
74 and 8. That's what it should have been.
Right.
But it wasn't. But 72 and 10 is a great season. And Michael was at the top of his game. And and this is another thing. When Michael came back after playing baseball and they put him in during the playoffs against Orlando, it was embarrassing. And he didn't have a blown-out knee.
You're right. He wasn't in the rhythm. He wasn't ready yet. You're 100% right. I know what you're talking about.
He supposedly is the greatest player of all time. If the greatest player of all time couldn't get in rhythm, how do they expect Derrick Rose to do it?
How many guys have had a better year than LeBron had this year in history?
Oh, man. I'm going to tell you, Artie, this sounds crazy. LeBron weighs what you weigh, and he's my height with no body fat. He's just not as talented as we are.
Exactly.
But he has all the attributes.
Exactly. I mean, do you think, he had a year, he had a legendary year. Do you think, obviously it's hard to compare, but is it up there in the top 5 greatest years ever had by a player?
Yeah, I think so. I think when they start comparing him to different things that players have had, I always tell people those stats mean some things, but they don't mean a lot because Oscar Robertson had the best stats of all athletes ever. And they still don't consider him the greatest player of all time. So those stats can go out of the window. To average a triple-double is amazing.
Right.
And have one in every game, that's amazing. And he's the only one that's done it like that. But they still don't consider him the greatest because we haven't seen him in video games or we haven't seen him, he played back when they wore canvas. So as far as during the season, I think LeBron's focus is the most unbelievable thing you can ever give a player because it's all mental. It's 100% mental.
I agree with you. It's a long season. The mental aspect of it is huge. What about Oklahoma City? Oklahoma City without Westbrook, should they even bother to play? I mean, they don't have a chance of beating the Grizzlies without Russell Westbrook.
They're
right?
up right now by 8.
I'm talking in the series.
I think so. I think the Grizzlies did what you just said. I think they looked and said, we don't have Westbrook. And one of the first things is when they took one from him, you can't let a team that you know you can beat and let guys shoot the ball. I think the NBA is designed the way they want to design now. There's no hand-checking. Defense is different. You can't really hit anybody without getting thrown out of the game or being called a thug.
Right.
So it's free range. It's almost like Pop-A-Shot.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they would have put, like in hockey, you put a rough guy on him, rough him up a little bit. Let's see you make it from the foul line. Can't play that way anymore.
That's right. I mean, like the way the Pistons played in '89 and '90, is that a way of the past?
That is so far in the past that 7 of the rules we now have was developed because they didn't want that style of play to come back into hand.
Right.
And, players now are worth what, Fortune 500 companies are worth.
You're right.
Year.
You're right. Absolutely.
So, you don't want to hurt any of these entities.
Yeah.
And it is a whole bunch of entities in one huge entity. So I understand it. The stupid ways of hitting people is one way, but hitting somebody hard when they come to the basket in a basketball play should be still legal. Shouldn't be a flagrant foul.
You explain what a hand check is, John.
A hand check, when literally the true form of it is you push the guy where you want to push him.
Right.
Put your hand on his hip and you got balance. Well, they took that hand check off. You can't touch the guy. And also, on the lower post, you used to be able to put your hand in the guy's back. And it's easier to control it that way and control what you're going to do. It's more leverage. They said you can only put the forearm in the guy's back, which brings you closer to the player, which makes it easier for the offensive player to manipulate your body to score.
And get around
you.
you.
Made it easier to score, right.
Yeah, get around you.
Took away the low-scoring games.
Hey, you sat here a few months ago and you said that the only team that might have a chance of beating the Heat in a 7-game series are the Knicks. You still believe that?
Was I wrong?
Well, no, listen, I don't. I'd like to think you're right. I mean, they haven't played yet. The Knicks got a tough job with the Pacers, but I don't know. Maybe they match up right. I'd love to see it. I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah, I think they match up well, and I think that whole mentality when you get to the third round is a whole different season. It's really a season of who can get past the nagging little injuries. If you can get past those nagging little injuries, you're the team that usually can win.
Right.
So the team with the least amount of injuries usually. And that's part of the game, too. It's like a penalty box in hockey. You do something, you put the guy in the penalty box, you got less guys to play with. Just a way that it is, and it really adds to the game. They've taken a lot of that away from it.
John, the Knicks are down 2-1 to the Pacers. How do you see that series shaping up?
Well, when Rasheed Wallace has retired before the end of the season, and I guess he did that so they can get somebody else on I don't know why he retired. He said his feet was like he was walking on glass. And the reason I said Rasheed was going to be such a major factor is he's been down this road a couple of times. He's a seasoned veteran knowing how to get – if his body didn't give way on him, I think he would have changed the mentality of the team. See, like I said, too, when you got these guys who everybody figures out how to do their role, when to play their role, how important their role is, then that's the best kind of team with me. And when you got guys who say, man, I wish I was doing this, I should be doing that, that's where the problem is. You shouldn't be talking about what you should be doing. You should do whatever necessary for your team to win.
Hey, what about Steph Curry, man? The kind of shooter he is. Have you ever seen a guy who's a pure shooter like that?
Father.
Huh?
He was a Playboy All-American with his father.
Oh, right. It's true. That's true. Yeah.
Curry can shoot it better than anybody I've ever seen it. And his son, it was like he passed it to his son. But he can handle the ball way better than his father, and he's a more tenacious ball player. But think about that. I tell all these kids now, they start talking about, man, you got to go to a good school in order to get to the pros. This kid went to Davidson. I wasn't even watching Davidson until they started talking about how great Steph Curry is. And they were saying he was too small for the NBA. I guess they changed that, too.
Yeah.
So do you like you like the Warriors in that series against the Spurs?
If Steph is healthy, I just, I always go with the vets because I know they know how to win, and that team knows how to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Popovich knows how to handle them. But, I would love to see Mark Jackson in the Western Conference Finals and in the final. I just love to see it. I grew up with him. He's a friend of mine. I'm looking at it. That's when I've turned into a sentimental person, which I'm usually not when it comes to sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually just a hard cat when it comes to it. Best team, the toughest cats win. But yeah, I think just seeing what they do, because you got older guys who, they act like it's hard to get up and get going and how to play it. I just always stayed in shape, so I never understood that. And they said, well, you didn't play that many minutes either. Well, I also didn't damage my body outside of that. So if they got those nagging injuries, I think they should get to the cause of the problems. So age doesn't make that much of a difference. I saw my man George Foreman knock somebody out at 54 years old.
I don't care how old that guy is. You don't want to get punched by him. So who give us the two teams. You give us a prediction? Two teams in it, and who's going to win?
I start my podcast tomorrow on Podcast One.
Oh, cool.
Enough is enough. I don't know when I'm gonna film it, tape it tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe I'll just ask Jason Collins. Who you think is going to win? Who's the star? Let's see. I'm bringing him on the show, and we're not going to talk about anything but sports. How do you think that's going to be?
That's going to be good. So what do you think of the whole Jason Collins thing, by the way?
I think Jason is a brave man, and I think I'm happy for him because it finally is a happy guy.
Right.
And I'm proud of him, very much so. But I think I'm going to go Miami. Miami versus a team in the West.
Yeah, and Miami winning, I assume.
Oh, Miami is going to win 4 straight.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to happen. So, hey, dude, that's amazing. So you're going to have Jason Collins on your podcast. Where can we find that? Everybody's got to listen to that. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, man. It's called The John Salley Show, and it's on Podcast One, sponsored by Vermax. I got to talk about my guys. And, drinking some vegan wine. I'm doing 48 minutes. I sat there with you for that 3 hours, and I was like, Artie is a tough guy to sit there for 3 hours and talk about sports. I'm gonna talk about other things, man. I can't do it for 3 hours anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say Oklahoma. No. I'm gonna say.
Just say Golden State, man.
That's what you want. I want that. I'm definitely rooting for that.
I think it'd be great if
I think it's going to be the
State.
Grizzlies in Miami.
No, wow. All right, well, there you go. That's a definite 4 straight. Grizzlies win one of those games. That'll be fun. All right, well, we're definitely going to check out the podcast. Jason Collins, the John Salley Show, sponsored by Vermax. And thanks so much, brother. As always, John, I love you.
I love you too, man. Stay healthy.
You too, and we'll all be listening. The great John Salley.